January 2026. As you have already been introduced to the meditation, today's meditation, you know that this is Vipassana meditation, also known as Satipatthana meditation. But what is meditation itself? What does the word meditation actually mean? The most commonly used Pali term to meditation is bhavana. Bhavana, it is the Pali word. The first meaning of the Pali word is that it is a practice that must be developed, cultivated and fulfilled through continuous effort. According to this definition, meditation practice is not optional. It is essential and mandatory. Meditation is mandatory, not merely optional, for anyone who sincerely seeks or looks for mental purification, liberation from suffering, and true inner peace. Just as breathing is both mandatory and extremely important. Why? Because it must be done by yourself. It must be done by yourself. No one can breathe for you. Second, it must be done on time. Each breath is needed in the present moment. Then breathing must be done regularly and continuously, because life depends on it. And it is your lifeline. Every breath brings oxygen, which purifies the blood and sustains the body. In the same way, meditation is also both mandatory and deeply important, because it must be done by yourself. No one can meditate for you. Second, it must be done at the right time. Meditation must be practiced at the right time, and that time is the present moment. The present moment is the only time we can observe and know the mind. And it should be done while we are still physically and mentally healthy, young and strong. These are the ideal conditions for cultivating mindfulness, concentration and wisdom. It becomes much more difficult to meditate when the body is unwell, the mind is weak, or energy is low. Although the Dhamma is always accessible, illness, pain and aging can make it harder to sit, focus and to train the mind. Life is uncertain. No one knows what will happen tomorrow or even in the next hour. Health, age and external conditions are not guaranteed. That's why It's wise to begin now without delay. And again, meditation must be done regularly and consistently. Consistently progress in the path. Progress in the path requires steady practice. And meditation purifies the mind. Every moment of mindfulness or noting helps cleanse the mind of defilements and bring clarity, calm, and insight knowledge. Another simile is taking medicine. Taking medicine is mandatory and very important when you are sick. Why? Because it must be taken by yourself. No one else can take your medicine for you. Secondly, it must be taken on time. Delay can reduce its effectiveness. And it must be taken regularly and consistently. Irregular use may not cure the illness, and it treats the root cause. Every dose of meditation supports healing and restore balance of the body. In the same way, meditation is also mandatory and very important because it must be done by yourself. No one can purify your mind for you and cure your mental sickness. Secondly, it must be practiced at the right time. Awareness must meet each moment freshly. Third, it must be practiced regularly and consistently. And the fourth, it treats the mental suffering, mental illnesses. Every moment of mindfulness is like a dose of inner medicine, purifying the mind and healing the defilements. That's why the meditation practice is not optional. It is mandatory, compulsory, must be practiced, developed, cultivated, and fulfilled. The second meaning of bhavana is meditation is a practice that brings about the arising of qualities that has not yet arisen and nurtures those that have already arisen, helping them to grow and flourish. It is the process of developing the wholesomeness, growing from small to big, subtle to gross, weak to strong, and from few to many. Our mind stream is not occupied by good thoughts, good intentions, good feelings, or wholesomeness. It is almost entirely occupied by bad thoughts, bad intentions, bad feelings, unwholesomeness or badness. It is also because our ordinary mind, the mind of the ordinary people, delights in evil. In evil, or the mind takes pleasure in unwholesome things. The untrained, uncultivated, unpracticed, unprotected mind by nature tends to delight in unwholesome things. An obvious example is this: right now you are practicing meditation and giving your best effort, yet the mind hardly delights in meditation. It's difficult even to complete 1 hour without changing posture. But if you were sitting to watch a movie or play games, sitting for hours would not be that hard at all. It is also because defilements arise spontaneously. Automatically, they do not require any extra effort. But to give rise to wholesome mental states require conscious effort and intention. Just as weeds or grasses grow spontaneously in the field without any effort, but growing crops requires a lot of hard work and care. Similarly, unwholesome mental states arise on their own, effortlessly, and often without our awareness. In contrast, cultivating wholesome states like mindfulness, concentration, patience, compassion require deliberate effort and consistent practice. It is also because we ordinary beings are the generators or the producer of defilements. Hence we are called Puthujana in Pali. Puthujana in Pali, the ideal meaning of Puthujana is one who produces defilements. We keep producing defilements almost all the time. When we see visible objects, we generate greed if the object is pleasant, anger if it's unpleasant, and delusion, wrong view, or ego-based belief if it is neutral. Similarly, when we hear, smell, taste, touch, and think, we also produce defilements. Every second, every moment, the 6 sense objects strike the 6 sense doors, and in response we generate defilements again and again. Millions and billions of mind movements arise in just a single second. In just a single second. So imagine how many defilements are being produced continuously. We have already accumulated countless defilements throughout the beginningless past. Even now, in the present moment, we are producing defilements, and we will continue to do so in the future unless we make significant effort to generate wholesome mental states. Therefore, we are here in this meditation retreat, joining the intensive meditation retreat to lessen, weaken and destroy the defilements that have already arisen, and to prevent those that have not yet arisen. We aim to give rise to wholesome states that have not yet arisen, and to cultivate, sustain, and bring to fulfillment those wholesome mental states that have already arisen. And this task must be done, otherwise we remain mentally weak, sick, unwell, and unhealthy. On this occasion, I would like to talk about the illness, sickness. There are two types of illness: physical illness and mental illness. I don't think I need to explain physical illness, as all of you are familiar with it. However, I would like to mention a few things about it as mentioned in text. In one discourse, 48 types of physical illnesses are mentioned. In another discourse, 96 illnesses are mentioned. However, the Visuddhimagga, you might know about the Visuddhimagga, the path of purification. Visuddhimagga mentions 1,000 illnesses. These illnesses includes illnesses related to eyes, illnesses related to ears, illnesses related to nose and mouth, and so on. In this world, people suffer from many types of illnesses, and we do not even know the name of all of them. They range minor illness to deadly illness, from short-term to long-term condition, and from curable to incurable diseases. These physical illnesses cause physical pain and mental pain, physical damage and mental damage, physical discomfort and mental discomfort, physical exertion and the mental exertion, and physical suffering and mental suffering. These illnesses arise nowhere other than in our bodies, because the body is the dwelling place of illnesses. Just as we humans live in our homes, similarly illnesses live in our bodies. They do not live in tables, beds, cars, houses, or any other external object. They live in our bodies. That is why the Buddha said, the body is the dwelling place of all diseases. There is not a single human being who is free from disease. Even the Buddha experienced sickness and became ill many times during his lifetime. The first chief disciple, Venerable Sariputta, also fell sick. The healthiest monk at the time of Buddha was Venerable Bakula. I repeat, Venerable Bakula, who lived for 160 years, and it is said to have never even sneezed once during his lifetime. He became such a healthy person because of his past karma. It is said that while fulfilling his paramis, perfections, he accumulated wholesome deeds such as offering medicine, providing medical treatments, and maintaining or renovating the old monasteries. Anyhow, we can hardly stay away from physical illness. When we become sick, being mentally strong is very important, because our mental state has a direct effect on our body and recovery. Illnesses often bring fear, anxiety, loneliness, and emotional pain. If a person becomes mentally weak, these feelings can grow stronger and may lead to mental illness such as depression or anxiety, increasing suffering beyond the physical condition. Mental strength helps a person remain positive, patient, and hopeful while facing illness. It allows them to manage stress and support and to deal with challenges more effectively. For Dhamma practitioner, illness can become a source of samvega. Samvega means a deep sense of spiritual urgency. It may lead them to feel tired of clinging to the body and to develop the aspiration to go beyond worldly existence. Just as Prince Siddhartha, upon seeing a sick person, developed the desire to attain liberation from suffering of body and mind, similarly, practitioner can reflect on illness as an inescapable and undeniable experience of embodied existence, and use it as a motivation to deepen their practice and seek liberation. For diligent and advanced practitioner, the sensation, discomfort, or pain arising from illness become object of meditation rather than source of stress. In this retreat, my main focus is not on the physical illness, it is on mental illness, I just mentioned a few things about the physical illness for your general knowledge. Now we will discuss about the mental illness. It is often said that nowadays many people are affected by mental illness such as anxiety, depression, stress, overthinking, panic disorder, trauma, and dementia. Again, I am not going to discuss these modern mental illnesses. What I am going to discuss are the mental illnesses mentioned in the Buddhist texts. In Buddhism, these mental illnesses are known as defilements. They are referred to as kilesas, and the texts describe as kilesa roga. Kilesa roga meaning the diseases of the mind. Since there are fundamentally 10 defilements, mental illness can also be understood as 10, and they are lobha, greed, craving or attachment; dosa, hatred; aversion or ill will; moha, delusion or ignorance; mana, conceit or pride; ditthi, wrong view; vicikiccha, doubt or skepticism; thina, sloth; udacca, restlessness; ahirika, lack; and anuttappa, lack of moral fear. These are the general categorization of defilements. However, there are many other ways of classifying them. In other lists, additional defilements are mentioned, such as midda, torpor or drowsiness; then issa, jealousy or envy; then matsarya, the miserliness or stinginess, with the nature of not wanting to share one's possession, status or knowledge; then satheya, decide, with the nature of concealing one's faults for the sake of gain or praise; maya, hypocrisy or craftiness, with the nature of pretending to possess good qualities one does not actually have.
Và Ngài nói rằng tuy nhiên có rất là nhiều cách để nói về những cái phiền não, nói về những cái căn bệnh của tâm. Thì Ngài nói rằng là Ngài giảng giải thêm rằng là có thêm những cái phiền não, những cái căn bệnh về tâm. Đó là midda. Midda ở đây nó là cái sự lờ đờ uể oải hoặc là cái sự buồn ngủ. Thì đây là cái đặc tính tự nhiên của tâm, làm cho khi mà có cái sự lờ đờ buồn ngủ này thì nó làm cho cái tâm của chúng ta nó trở nên nặng nề, nó trở nên nặng nề, nó trở nên là thiếu cái sự năng động, hay là isa, tức là cái sự ganh tị. Thì cái sự ganh tị ở đây đó là chúng ta ganh tị, ganh ghét những cái sự thành công, những cái sự thành công của người khác. Và một cái loại phiền não tiếp đó là Machariya, tức là Machariya ở đây có nghĩa là cái sự keo kiệt. Chúng ta keo kiệt, cái bản chất của cái tâm keo kiệt này là nó không muốn chia sẻ tài sản hoặc là cái kiến thức của mình tới người khác. Và cái tâm phiền não tiếp theo đó là Sathya. Thì Sathya ở đây nó là cái sự lừa dối, cái sự không chân thật. Và cái sự lừa dối không chân thật này, cái bản chất tự nhiên của nó đó là mình che giấu, mình giấu giếm những cái lỗi lầm của mình để mà mình đạt được cái lợi ích của mình, thì mình giấu giếm những cái lỗi lầm của mình. Và cái phiền não thứ tiếp theo đó là Maya. Thì Maya ở đây có nghĩa là một người đạo đức giả, hay là một cái người xảo trá. Họ giả vờ rằng là họ có được những cái phẩm chất tốt đẹp mà thật sự họ không có.
Furthermore, when defilements are multiplied by their objects, their numbers even become more or greater. For example, greed can arise toward many kinds of objects. Greed for visible object, greed for audible object, greed for smell, greed for tastes, greed for tangible objects, greed for thoughts or ideas. In this way, there are altogether 22 kinds of material or physical objects toward which greed may arise. Greed does not arise only towards the physical objects, but towards the mental objects as well. It may arise towards mind and mental factors. For example, greed may arise towards mindfulness, towards rapture, towards loving kindness, towards compassion. In this way, there are 53 the mental objects towards which the greed may arise. I repeat, there are 22 physical objects towards which greed may arise, and there are 53 mental objects towards which greed may arise. So altogether there are 75 objects towards which greed may arise. These 75 objects are not only objects in which greed arises, but anger, illusion, delusion, conceit, doubt, all the 10 types of kilesas or defilements may arise towards them. Again, these 75 objects can be multiplied by external objects and internal. So it becomes 150 objects. If you multiply 150 objects with 10 kilesas, then it becomes 1,500. So text mentions the 1,500 kilesas. This is again general categorization. If you multiply with the 3 different levels of kilesas like transgressive kilesas, obsessive kilesas, latent kilesas, or if you multiply with their intensity, it becomes numerous kilesas. Here, what I would like to explain is, as I just mentioned, text mention 1,500 defilements, kilesas. That means we have 1,500 mental illnesses. So in this retreat, we will discuss how to cure these mental illnesses, how we can prevent, how we can cure or heal, and finally how we can ultimately uproot these mental defilements. As we know, when we become sick, when we have illnesses, we become weak. Physically, mentally, we become weak. We become vulnerable for other diseases as well. Similarly, when we have mental illnesses, we become weak. We become vulnerable for sufferings. From tomorrow on, we will discuss how we can make our mind stronger by dispelling these mental illnesses, and how we can make our mind unshakable, unwavering, stable, and they can develop, can make potential to fight with the mental illnesses. In that sense also, meditation is not optional, it is compulsory, it is mandatory. So according to the definition of the mindfulness, we will practice meditation in this 10 days intensive retreat, and we will dispel those mental illnesses, and according to the second definition, we will prevent the unwholesome mental states, we will dispel the unwholesome mental states, we will give rise the wholesome mental states, and we will develop, sustain, cultivate and fulfill the wholesome mental states in order to be free from mental illnesses. May you all be able to practice diligently in order to prevent and cure the mental illnesses, and may you be able to be free from mental illnesses, that is from defilements.